getting off work on Friday at 11. I close at 11 because I don't want to work my life away. There's no point to working your life away and wasting your whole life and then retiring and didn't even really get to enjoy anything or live life because you worked it away. Man, I wish y'all were here. Pull up a seat. Let's hang out. Let's work on the race car. We're going to find something on TV and we're going to chill, man. We got the turbos sent out this afternoon. So I got all this taken off and taken down. It's pretty cool how this front end comes off. I've worked really hard to multiple reversions of this front end, how everything is still together. All the fuel lines, canisters are still on, everything's still on. And I was able to remove the front end and just, remove the turbo. So this is learning. The more you race your car or drive your car, and the more you work on the car, the more things you're going to learn that are in the wrong spot and need to be modified, and that's what we worked on in the past. So it's pretty cool when it pulls off or when it works out for you. And this is literally all I had to remove to get the turbo out, not this. We got to actually fix that this weekend. Just to put this in perspective real fast with the new front suspension on it, I just jacked the front of the car up. Front tires are still on the ground. Look at that. That's with the front tires still on the ground. Uncle Mike, you are nasty with it, man. Look, the tires are still on the ground on both sides. You're nasty with it, dude. Look at that. You are nasty with it. That is freaking phenomenal. Dude. That is nuts. That is nuts. She's up there. So we're about to jack it up a little bit more. It's got to come way up to get these tires to come off the ground. Man, you killed it, dude. You killed it. I don't know what else to say. Let's get these springs off. All right, so here's our new springs we just got in. I don't even know how John thinks I'm going to get this thing in, this freaking shock housing. This is a 16-inch. This is supposedly a 14-inch. This is supposedly a 14-inch. These were the ones that were originally on there. You can see I can bounce them down. These I can bounce down a little. These I can barely budge at all. I got to really hit them. 50s, right? 50s, 110s, 125s. So we're still trying to figure out the front end. These are ones I made the mistake on, and I said these were 140s or 145s originally. And I admitted in the past video that I messed up. There's a 140, that's a 14-inch. I ranted and raved about how they should put an inch sign here and not the 0. These are a 2.5, not a 25. And then these are a 50 pounds. Why it says 0050 is completely stupid, but it does. So 50-pound springs. These were rear springs that were on the rear of Randy's car. These are what we put on first. We collapsed it. We collapsed a 110, so we're hoping the 125 goes on there. However, I don't even know how I'm going to get that 125 on there. I feel like I'm going to have to use a freaking spring compressor here on the bench just to get it on. But, man, these things are freaking gorgeous. Look at the freaking paint on these things. So these are, let's see here. What's the name? The company's right here. Landrum Performance Springs. I sent these to John. These were like the best bang for the buck. Seems like I got these off of Summit Racing, which is ATEC for me, Motorsports. So there's all of the technical specs for anybody that is interested. I have no clue what I'm looking at. But yeah, that's what we're putting in. So let's not worry about what it says. And let's try to get this thing on this shock body. I have basically called it quit Jojo, what are you doing? All right. I basically called it quits on this for the moment. I texted John and told him that in order to even get the 16-inch spring on here. Yeah, I see your cat.
He likes hanging on me all the time.
He likes hanging on you?
Yeah, and he was like climb on my hat. He climbed on my hat.
In order to even get this in here, every single time we're gonna have to compress this spring right here, and then it's still gonna take a lot of prying to get this.
Make him lie down here.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me record this, okay?
Yeah.
Yes. So in order for us to get this up here into the shock tab, it's going to take a lot of prying, even with this half compressed. Now, you can't hook your things way up here because of the threads on the shock body. They'll tear the threads all up, the diameter in there. So I don't think the 16-inch is going to work. I think that this is going to have to be a 14-inch 125. But I'm going to wait to hear back from John before I take any of this apart and go from there. Go ahead and put this other spring on. I spoke to John yesterday afternoon, and he was basically like, dude, you have got to do whatever it takes to try to get that 16-inch spring on. He was like, basically the 14, going back to a 14 125, so a 14-inch spring, 125 pounds. This was a 14-inch spring 110. This completely collapsed on the car. He was like, if you go to a 125 14, then I'm afraid that we're going to run out of spring. So to basically describe that is, you can see right here how this spring is not long enough. So it's not exactly how it works. So don't get too technical on me. I just want to do a example. If this spring is completely collapsed, okay, completely collapsed, we got 1 inch of shaft showing. And actually, to touch on that, if you've been watching 10 Soldiers Race Car with Bill and Billy's new no prep car, they're going for half of an inch of shaft showing on theirs. We're going for at least a 1 inch. They're going for half an inch on that car. And I had people complaining about me only putting an inch. Anyway, completely compressed, okay, your shock is going to want to expand when the front end comes up. Once it expands to here, we won't be able to utilize this much of the shock. So you're going to kill yourself on that much of the travel. So if you're running a 14-inch spring like this, then once that spring gets to there, it's done. And you're missing out on all of this action right here. So you're missing out on all that travel. That's a lot. A lot of people would kill to have another 1.5 inches, 2 inches, whatever that is. So, and of course, this will be turned up. And if you turn this up, of course, you can seat it on that. And of course, you can get the whole shock amount. But if you turn that up, that could mess up the ride height of the car and other stuff. Basically, which we're going to have to turn the 16s up. You just want to make sure, long story short, without getting super, super technical and pissing everybody off in the comments, you want to make sure you have as much spring as you can possibly fit in there to keep it traveling, to keep it doing that momentum. When it's squished and it has all that stored energy, the longer it is, the more it can keep going, then the better it's going to work overall for what we're doing. So you just want to make sure that you've got as much as you possibly can get. And so that's what John was like, dude. He's like, nope, you have got to try to put that 125 on there. Daddy John said put the 125 on there. We're going to put the 125 on there. The only problem is to get the thing in the car, we have to compress this thing to basically get it even in there. And what I ended up having to do is I found out that I still cannot get this thing in there easily with the spring's pressure. So I actually had to go back and compress it again while it was on the car. So we're going to save ourselves this headache on this one this morning, and we're going to leave this thing compressed. So we're going to get it compressed as much as we can. Let's go stick this thing in the car. All right. if you're new to the channel, we built all of these upper hats and everything custom in a previous video. I think the video should still be up. I had to delete a couple videos due to some bogus copyright stuff that I could not get released. And when us as YouTubers get copyright strikes, people put copyright strikes against us because it's not, YouTube doesn't do it. They pick it up, but then it's up to the creator of the music to issue the copyright strike. And I had used some music that was marked as copyright free to use, but the creator decided that he was still going to issue a copyright strike and wouldn't release it. It was some background music we were using for a couple of good videos, I think 5 or 6. So being he won't release it, what happens is he gets to share my profits. So 50% of what I get paid from YouTube on my views, he gets, because he claims it's his even though it's copyright free. And I went to his channel and commented, and I was like, basically this is bullcrap, because your title literally says copyright free, your description says copyright free, you're advertising this as no copyright music. We got to put thicker washers on that frame. And you're issuing copyrights. Of course, he ignored it. I guess people are lazy, and instead of just making good content or making content, they just want to take other people's revenue. So I said, well, you know what? Screw it. I'll just delete the videos. I could care less about a video. And that's what we did. So I don't know if when we made these hats, if that was one of the videos that got deleted or not. That's another reason why as soon as a video comes out, you should always watch it. We get this wheel on and lower this thing down. Whew, man, my hand is really freaking hurting. Lower this thing down and see what it sits at ride height. I hate to keep turning this thing too much and then have to back it back off, because with these 16-inch springs, it's a lot of pressure and it's not the most easiest to turn. Thankfully, I'm glad I built this tool, because it'd be impossible without this tool. I couldn't imagine having to do that with one of them wrenches, because there's just not a lot of room to get in there, especially when it's up there in the hat. And then, you know, how I explained that if this is like this, or you can rotate it like this, and you can clear different obstacles. So, man, this tool is just freaking amazing. I should look into how to mass produce these things. You know, maybe build them by hand and list them on eBay, because this thing is way better than a wrench, I can tell you that. And then you can hit, or you could put a socket extension, a big one, in the end of it to get more leverage whenever you need it. Let's throw this tire. All right, so we finally have some fair news. Now we have to set ride height and all that good stuff, but the car is holding itself up and it's not bottomed out. We still have some shafts showing. Now let's see here. This side I can go down a little bit with. Not a ton. I can't go down a ton with it. But this side is set different, because I don't have nothing set up equal at all. So this side is threaded way down. And we have, you know, a little bit of shaft showing on that side too. Now I've got the bump steer unhooked because none of that is still right at the moment. But the car, when you stand on it, we can squish the suspension all the way down. I guess it's hard to see it come back up too fast, but then it comes right back up. So yeah, I think we are where we need to be at. Basically, if ride height is too low, which it's not, I think the car needs to be lower. I think I want it lower. I have to see what the fender's on. But if it's too low, we need to pick it up. We just crank the coil springs down. Coil springs are not binding. They're definitely wanting to, seems like, tilt outwards a little. I guess it's because such a long spring. But they're not coil binding or nothing like that. So I think we're going to be good to go on that. If we want the car to sit lower and we can't get it in the spring, then we can always flip the hat like we originally was going to do and get it down like that. So I think we're good on that finally, or we're getting really close to being good on that. I hate to say we're good on that and then find another issue. I did just ask John about how the spring kind of wants to sit in there curved. It is the correct diameter, so it is perfect around there. And then the bottom is sitting flat. You have that little cut piece right there that's beveled, but it's sitting It's sitting fine. John said his has always done that for years. That his is always, springs have always kind of bowed out like that. I noticed this past weekend on his that it does eventually mess up the threads a little bit down here. Now, of course, we would never be in these threads because this hat would never be screwed down that freaking far. We'd probably be in here in the upper half of the shock body always, and the upper hat is not touching at all. So we probably need to go down a little bit with this one to make it equal, and up a little bit with that side over there so they're equal left to right. So let me see if I can jack this thing back up, come on down with this one a little bit more, and go up with the other side a little bit more, and see if we can still get about 1 inch of shaft showing out of it, and see if we can kind of roughly fine tune this thing.